Welcome to the first day of cotton planting. It hasn't gone off so well yet. Matt woke up late, I woke up late, rushing to get there. I know the boys are fixing the tractors and I'm about to take the water truck out there. I also had to make sure I have my mask. I took all my medicine because the cotton cover crops that grow longer tend to affect me pretty bad. And my EpiPen has been on back order for 4 weeks. So I'm gonna have to limit myself to all of the exposure to the covers so I don't end up in the hospital because it's not a good time. Welcome to the making of your underwear.
Well, it's that time of year again. You can smell the honeysuckle. You know what that means? This means it's time to plant some cotton. We're trying to plant cotton anyway. Can't begin to tell you all the things we got going wrong out here, but I'll try to get you caught up here in a minute. First thing first, we just got done planting our variety plots. We went ahead and got that knocked out of the way. So we're gonna load up with our regular seed and see how much seed we can get put in the ground. But I'll tell you what, we got a lot of things not so good going on right now. So anyway, I'll get some seed in here and I'll get you caught up. All right, we just got loaded up with seed. We gotta wait a minute for Zach to get in front of us with the roller crimper. He's having some pretty serious issues with the tractor this morning. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, we are out here planting cotton today. This is a crop that we all look forward to every single year, and it's good to finally be putting some cotton in the ground. However, it's already late in the game. I think today is May 15th, and we've got until May 20th to get our cotton planted in order to qualify for full crop insurance coverage. May 20th is the cutoff date when they offer full coverage, and then it starts declining every day after that up to I think June 1st, June 2nd. But as far north as we are, we're at the very most northern latitude of where cotton is grown. Cotton is a lot longer season crop than either corn or soybeans is. You know, it's always a risk on whether we're gonna have enough time to actually get our crop mature to get it opened up to where we can get it harvested. So in that regards, if you remember a few videos ago, I took 90 acres out of expected cotton production and put it into corn production. So because we're late in the game, what we're starting out with is Delta Pine 1646, and this is I was going to have a lot more acres of this variety because it can be one of the highest yielding varieties out there, but it's a medium maturity variety. And ideally you want to get it planted early. Well, we're not getting it planted early, so that 90 acres of corn production, I took it out of this medium season maturity variety. So we got 5 bags of this. Should get over about 30 acres or so. I get close to six acres per bag of seed. And then we're going to switch to our other varieties, which are early season varieties. Kelly's already out ahead of us spraying. The way this process works is she sprays burn down first because the roller crimper does not kill all the species of cover crop I have out here, so we got to throw the herbicide in. So Kelly sprays first, and then Zach follows right behind her, hopefully within an hour with a roller crimper, and then I should be right behind him, hopefully within an hour of him with a planter. So it's a 3-ring circus out here, and everything's got to work right to run smoothly, and so far that's not happening. So we're behind, but you know, I think it's May 15th. I know we got today, tomorrow, and probably Monday to get our cotton planted, and then we got like another 3 to 4 days of rain coming in. That's been the story the last 2.5 weeks, rain and cold weather. You know, we would have liked to get started a lot earlier, up to a week ago, but that didn't happen. Today is the first warm day we've had in quite a while, warm enough that it's actually suitable to plant cotton, because we need a soil temperature of at least 65 degrees with a favorable 5-day forecast after that. We don't necessarily have the favorable forecast, but we do have warm weather, so we got to put the seed in the ground. We just really don't have much choice about it.
Hopefully, I think we've worked all the bugs out. Everything's set for a few days, and now they're being a little cantankerous. Now we're rolling. Literally mean rolling. This is the good stuff. Big wash. Don't feel like breaking my neck. This is that good high biomass, dense, awesome cover crop that I was talking about a couple weeks ago. You can't really tell with the way I'm holding the camera, but it is slapping the gas cap on the fuel tank. The rye is. But we are out here getting it laid out. First official day of cotton planting. I'm hoping that we have everything situated to where we can just rock and roll. Got my guidance situated. Hopefully we've got whatever electrical bug that kicked up on me last night figured out. I've been running for just over an hour, and that's just how much pollen, dust, and everything off of this cover crop I've picked up. This stuff is starting to lay down. Big bump. Excellent. It is just rolling. You couldn't ask for it to roll any better than what it's doing. This cover crop is going to do just exactly what it's supposed to. So anyways, I'm going to try to get ahead of the planter. Matt put in test plots with UT Extension Agency this morning, and we were hoping to use that to kind of get out ahead of the planter a little bit, but my tractor decided to act up, and here we are about half an hour in front of them. So
Spraying a high rate, 20 gallons per acre, because the cover crop is so thick. This is one of our best farms for cotton. Pretty much best farms for anything. It's a really good farm. So yeah, I'm just back to spraying. There's not much to show, I guess. I have to wear this all day, or I can't think this morning. The cover crop is so high that the rye will hit I don't have a brain today. I need one. Maybe I can get one on the internet. Take two, because I don't have a brain today. The reason I have to wear the mask inside the sprayer is because the cover crop is so high, specifically the rye, that I am extremely allergic to. I'm more allergic to rye than I am to wheat. Rye will make my throat close up and my eyes close, and then I have probably less than 2 minutes to get out of the field and get an EpiPen before I can't breathe. I have done everything I could possibly do in the last 5 years to build my immunity up towards this, but this year, due to all the rain, due to the temperatures and the up and down that Mother Nature has done, this year is really hard for me. So I'm going to do the best that I can to make sure that I don't put myself in jeopardy. But the reason I have to wear this inside the cab is because when I have the AC running, the cereal rye is so high that the pollen off the cereal rye will come into the cab. This farm is extremely tall with the cereal rye. It's up to about here on me. So you can imagine once I go over this, all of it's going to come up, and it's just safer for me to wear this. I have taken all my medicine. I took my shot this morning. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that Ellie doesn't have to call Matt and tell him that I need to go to the emergency room because I don't have an EpiPen. Because I love Big Pharma. It's been on back order for 4 weeks. So time to make your underwear.
All right, cotton 2021 is officially started. We have cotton seed going in the ground. But just to tell you a little bit about what we got going on, some of the difficulties we faced is, once I already mentioned the weather being just really cold and wet the last 2 weeks. We're already behind on where we'd like to be on our cotton planting. That's manageable as long as we can actually run and get the seed in the ground. We can deal with it. We've been dealing with late planting for the last several years. We tried our best to have everything ready to go, everything ship shape, and thought we did. The last thing we were going to do is just go through the roller crimper. Didn't think anything was wrong with it. We got it down the shop 3 days ago, and just going through it and found that a pin on the wing, where the wing pivots up and down, was seized up, wasn't taking grease. And no big deal, usually not that hard to unplug a grease fitting. But every trick in the book that we tried to get that thing to take grease, it would not take grease. So then we tried driving the pin out so we could get it all cleaned up. The pin would not budge to save my life. We beat on it. We heated it up. We did everything we could. We put a pipe wrench with like a 5-foot long cheater bar on it. The thing would not move, twist, or anything. So then I thought, well, the only thing left to do is to cut it out, because you could tell where it was wearing because it wasn't getting any grease in there. The only thing left to do was cut it out. Well, the pin is 1 3/4 inches and 12 inches long. Started cutting one end out of it, just trying to get it freed up to where we could knock it the rest of the way out. Wouldn't budge a bit. Just started cutting on the other end, just trying to get as much material out of the hole as possible. Still wouldn't budge. Bo at J&S was nice enough to let us borrow what's called a pin cutter. It's a long torch nozzle about this long with a big tip, and basically it just blows a hole right through the center of the tube. Tried that. Took us several tries. We finally got all the way through. Unfortunately, we ruined the tip in the process. Did that. Thing still wouldn't budge. So we're like a day and a half in. I've already got a new pin because I couldn't find anyone local. It's already had a new pin coming in from the manufacturer. Coming out of Pennsylvania. Had it overnighted so we could have the thing, up and ready to go. Had it overnight. It cost me like $135 in shipping when the pin itself was like $25. Anyway, the pin actually arrived from Pennsylvania at our shop before we even had the old pin out, believe it or not. Anyway, last thing we could do was just cut the whole housing out, the sleeve and everything. That's finally what we did, and Bo was nice enough to drop his other projects and get us a new sleeve made up that we could weld back in. Finally got all that put back together. I mentioned whenever I was planting that extra 90 acres of corn, we're going to skip the chicken litter because the chicken litter guy was off on another farm and couldn't get to us in time. Well, heck, it's been raining wet ever since then. Couldn't get in the field, so he was still on another farm. Still had a day's worth of spreading over there. So Zach and I spent all day yesterday driving some litter trucks from Kentucky, trying to get enough litter hauled down here and stockpiled to where he wouldn't have to wait on to have it hauled. So anyway, did that all day yesterday. Got over here to this field late last night to just go ahead and get the planter set to where we could be ready to plant test plots the very first thing this morning. Got about 8 acres sprayed and crimped last night. Zach makes one pass in the field and the electronics on his tractor just go bonkers. Anyway, he shut the tractor off to reset it, tried to start it back up, wouldn't crank. He wound up jumping it off just to get that little bit done, and then looked at it last night when we got done, and the terminal on the battery was cracked. So I was like, figured it was just shorting out. That's probably the cause of our problem. We had the battery test this morning, got a new terminal put on there. Thing still doesn't want to crank. I think I got a starter going bad. We looked at all the connections. Anyway, I think I got a starter going bad. It'll spin over real quick for a second or two, and then it just really starts dragging. So most likely it's probably the starter. Anyway, we were about to leave the field last night. Chicken litter guy had gotten to our farm late yesterday afternoon and started spreading. Anyway, he got 2 farms spread and was going to backfield over there on the zombie trail. He was driving through the Zaxel zombie trail to get to it, and anyway, a back rear tire hit a stump and flipped the thing over on the side. On a narrow 20-foot trail, this huge spreader truck is laying on its side in the middle of the zombie trail, a 20-foot wide trail. We were out there till about midnight last night trying to figure how we're gonna rig stuff up to get it turned back over. For one thing, I ain't got the equipment to turn anything back over that big. It's gonna take a wrecker, it's gonna take an excavator. You know, I don't have either one of those. So anyway, we looked at it, just debating, trying to figure out exactly what the best way to get that thing back over on the side. Didn't really come up to anything. He said he's gonna call a track hoe, try to have it out here this morning. So I don't know what the status of it is, if they've been working on it, if they found a solution. I don't know. I do know that I still got 3 farms that don't have chicken litter spread on it. And we've already got some chicken litter hauled out there, but I can't afford to wait to plant it because we got, you know, weather coming in and this cotton has to be planted. And I don't know how bad the spreader's tore it. Anyway, it doesn't look like it's damaged that bad, but who knows. Got issues with the transmission on this tractor. It's just not wanting to, it's got a CVT transmission. It's not wanting to shift ranges. It's jerking every time it tries to, and it's under load. It's almost like a tooth is missing on a gear and transmission, which I know that's not the case, but that's what it feels like. Called the service tech to get the procedure to recalibrate the transmission. I did that this morning. Didn't work. So I don't know. I hope it's nothing mechanical on this transmission, because you start talking some big bucks there, and not to mention the tractor's gonna be down a while. And this is the only tractor I've got wired up to run this planter. So we got a lot of issues we're trying to work through. But right now, seed is going in the ground. For how long though, I don't know.
So this is what it looks like when it's rolled down. You can kind of see the lines right there where Matt did the burn down strips, but this farm is so unbelievably thick and covers, it's hard to tell, but you can tell right there what it looks like after it's been rolled down. Pretty neat. They are rolling and going as fast as they can.
Kelly,
Yes, sir.
you got your agitation turned on in your tank. It's the button right beside the pump button.
I know. I always have it on.
Good.
Dude, how long have I been spraying now? I always got my button on. Yeah, so this is the fun part. I gotta avoid all these poles. That's the only bad part about this farm, is that I gotta fight the power poles. And as you can see, they don't go down straight. They like go like this way. So it's loads of fun. I gotta like back up, fold around. It's gonna be a good day. It has to be a good day. I mean, we're making your underwear. We are growing your underwear. It's gotta be a comfy feeling, you know?
You know, give you a little bit of idea of this process and why we're doing what we're doing, the way we're doing it. Anyway, like I said, we're planting green into some really thick biomass. This is probably the thickest biomass we've had in probably 2 or 3 years. While these cover crops are great for what they're doing, you know, rebuilding soil structure, putting organic matter in the soil, recircling fertilizer, actually producing nitrogen fertilizer, shading the soil, keeping the weeds out, helping the water infiltration, you know, shading the soil to where water doesn't evaporate from the soil. You know, all these benefits. We definitely got enough biomass out here to do all of that. Only problem is planting into it is not the easiest thing, because you're having to cut through a mat of cover crops this much before you even reach the soil. You know, that if you watch earlier videos from this spring, we sprayed our burn down strips. That's supposed to make it easier, and it does help. Unfortunately, on this farm, I don't know, something happened with a herbicide. I don't know if I sprayed too close to dark or the temperature wasn't right. Anyway, we didn't get a real good kill on those strips, so we got a lot of thick stuff to plant through on this farm. It's going to be in better shape on other farms. This one's going to be a little tricky. Like I said earlier, Kelly has already sprayed this. That's the first step of spraying that herbicide, because annual ryegrass is in this mix, and a roller crimper does not terminate annual ryegrass at all. So we got to spray a herbicide on it, and she does that first while the cover crop's still standing, so we can get the herbicide all the way down in the canopy. Whereas if we sprayed it after we crimped it, you know, only the top layer that you can see would get herbicide, and all the way down in there wouldn't get any. But anyway, after Kelly sprays, Zach follows behind with a roller crimper and the crimper actually crimps the stem and helps kill a lot of the cover crops, and also flattens it down into a mat. And what that mat does is really gives us a full benefit of the cover crop. If the cover crop is all standing straight up, you know, sunlight can still reach the soil. And anytime sunlight reaches the soil, you have the potential for weeds to germinate. So if you put down this thick mat of cover crop and lay it down, there's no sunlight that's going to reach the soil surface, and it really helps on keeping weeds from emerging, especially Palmer amaranth, or pigweed, which is our #1 weed that I mentioned in previous videos. It's really effective on that. It's not 100% effective, but it really helps. And any tool in the toolbox that we can use to keep pigweeds from coming up is very critical for us. But the problem is, once we spray it with a herbicide, paraquat or gramoxone is a very fast-acting herbicide. When it's hot outside and the sun is shining, it acts really quickly. And you really want to crimp the cover crop, and you want to plant into it when the cover crop is still green and nice and crisp. Just think about like lettuce. You know, when it's fresh, it's nice and crisp and breaks. Well, that disc opener is a whole lot easier for it to slice through that. Now, once the cover crop starts dying, it tends to become rubbery, kind of like old lettuce. Just gets rubbery and everything, and it's a lot more difficult to cut through. Everything has to happen like clockwork out here to do the best job of planting. And ideally, I would like to plant within about 2 to 2.5 hours of when Kelly has sprayed. So if there's any problems in the process, if I get broke down or Kelly gets broke down, then everybody else has to stop. And right now, like I said, we got a lot of issues we're fighting through, but we are getting stuff in the ground. Nothing to stop yet.
Now that I've got on auto track, show you how tall this stuff is. On auto, Matt's got the test spots done and laid out. The birdies are like, no, your buffet is leaving. So far so good on my end.
And also complicating matters is that cotton is one of the toughest crops to plant in this cover crop because it's got a real small seed, doesn't have a lot of energy. It really looks for any excuse it can not to come up and germinate. And we're planting into, right now, marginal conditions. It's still not quite as warm as I want it to be. You know, we could potentially have a lot of rain coming in 3 or 4 days. So ideally, you want to plant it as shallow as possible. But with this thick mat, that's not possible. Otherwise, the cover crop really interferes when you got a shallow seed trench, so the seed actually falling down into the trench. You know, I got the planter set best as I can. We're putting the seed a little bit deeper than what I would like to, just to ensure that all the seed actually makes it to the furrow, because if it gets hung up in that cover crop mat, it's definitely not going to germinate. So I'd rather have the cotton seed just a little deeper than ideal and actually have it in the ground than having quite a few seeds laying on top of the ground. Problem is, if we don't get a stand on this first go around the cotton, by the time we figure out that we need to replant, it really will be too late to replant. And if you did replant, you'd be looking at really suboptimal yields. You'd be fighting the crop all year long, just trying to get it to mature out and get it harvested in a timely manner. And a lot of times that kind of system just doesn't work out. So if we don't get a stand with our cotton crop the first go around, really the only thing we're left to do is replant it with soybeans. And then you're looking with extra costs associated with replanting, along with reduced income off the ground. Let's keep our fingers crossed and say a prayer that this seed comes up, because we really need it to.